In NBA 2K, one of the biggest issues that a lot of people come across is just trying to find the right build for their playstyle. Now, considering that in the game, you do have multiple avenues when it comes to making your builds, especially this year with the Pro Tune builds that were added into the game, but as well as the, just besides the Pro Tune builds, you have NBA builds and the community builds, all as templates that are available. And all of them do give you certain animations included with the build. So if you just made them straight up exactly how they are without customizing them or editing them in any way, then you're just able to get some animations to start off with. And this is a really, really good starting point for a lot of the newer players that just don't have kind of like the understanding of the builder or the understanding of, what animations are really good and what aren't, or if they're just trying to figure out what kind of playstyle they enjoy the most. So they can just easily pick up one of these builds, whether it is a Pro Tune build or an NBA template, and just be able to go on their way and be like, okay, I picked up this build, I've been playing on it, and I've really liked this playstyle. And then they can go in and then make a build of their own using, the knowledge that they have and, knowing what that build has, all the badges, the animations, and everything that's available with that particular build, and then be able to make their own. But a lot of the times, some people, especially like myself, have been going to the Pro Tune builds a little bit more later on in this year, considering that they have been a lot of fun, and considering the fact that I decided to really go Pro Tune only recently, because these builds are, obviously it says built by pros, and it has preferred specific play styles in mind, and it is inspired by specific players. So a lot of the players that you might find a little bit more tricky to make to get the shades of from those play styles, you might be able to find one for them here where you can get the shades of them, and the builds are specifically inspired by those players. Which is why whenever you go over onto my videos, whenever I make a video on PlayStation, or just in general, if you've checked out any of my streams that I have done on this channel, where I have been streaming my 60 to 99 overall grind, where I was using the Paul George Spacing Dynamo Pro Tune build. That is a Pro Tune build specifically for Paul George, inspired by Paul George. It's not going to be 100% accurate to Paul George, but it does say that it is inspired by these players. So although they are inspired by these players, it might not be 100% perfect or accurate to these players, especially in the stature, settings, and everything like that. But obviously, you understand the concept of the Spacing Dynamo, where it says it's a floor spacing slasher, nice 3-ball to keep defense honest, multi-dimensional finisher, solid defender. Obviously, that just kind of sounds like Paul George. Now, it's a little bit harder to then make the attributes itself seem, perfect to fit Paul George all around, but obviously that's just going to be hard to make a lot of players in general. Your LeBrons, your Giannis's, so on and so forth. It's a little bit hard to just make them straight up, especially as, their prime versions. But obviously we do have Pro Tune versions of, specific players. And one in particular player I want to talk about is Yao Ming. Now, obviously a lot of you guys are here specifically for the Yao Ming build itself, because obviously that's what this video is mostly about, or at least the rest of this video is about, is how some of these Pro Tune builds can be really, really good, on base value and, the base version, but also some of the Pro Tunes can be easily updated and modified to make it even better. And that's what this is all about. Now, obviously, when it comes to Yao Ming, and I'm just going to show you guys the shades of and all the animations you get out of the gate by just making the Pro Tune version of the build. Obviously, it's Yao Ming, and then you have the shades of Wilt Chamberlain as well as Zubac. I mean, it makes sense. You are pretty much a rebounder, inside defender. You're not really going to shoot threes that much. You're just going to be scoring pretty much on the inside. But when you go to test build and you actually take a look at all of the animations that it gives you right out of the gate, keep in mind that all the animations that you get from these Pro Tune builds, and even from, any of the other templates as well, the NBA builds and the community builds, you'll get all of those animations pretty much right off the rip with no requirements needed for them. So if you get a build that has like Darius Garland dribble style right out of the gate, and if you make that build, obviously just straight up without changing anything, then you're able to get that Darius Garland dribble style pretty much right out of the gate, even as a 60 overall, without reaching the super high ball handling and speed with ball requirements for, the dribble moves and even the dribble style. Well, obviously here for Yao Ming, as you can see, you get Robin Lopez jump shot with the Wendell Carter Jr. free throw. And then the rest of it is just like, basic animations. And then you have Dirk, Kareem, and Dwight Howard in the motion style in the post animations. Now, the thing is about these particular animations here with the post fade, the hook, the hop shot, and the motion style, and especially the free throw, you don't really need any requirements in order to get any of these. Obviously, most of these are just height requirements for them. Now, obviously, the jump shot is just a little bit tricky, but at the same time, with this build, and if we take a look at show attributes here, you'll see that we only have a 56 mid-range, so I don't really see necessarily a point in having a really good jump shot, or even a jump shot that's, anything other than the basic. You're not going to be really taking many shots. So how can we just, say, okay, screw these animations because we're able to get these animations for free anyway, pretty much. So if I wanted the Dirk fade, I can just go get the Dirk fade after I make the build. Same with the Kareem post hook and the Dirk post hop shot. And then even in the motion style, I can be like, okay, I can just grab this motion style if it's available to us with our height. That's the one thing they have to take into consideration, is height. But you see that we get no pass style, no dribble moves or anything. We're not going to be getting any major animation that would be necessary or like good enough for us to say, hey, we're just going to make this version. So why not go ahead and take the Paint Bully? Another reason why you would actually just make some of these builds is the name is pretty cool. That's the main reason why I make them as well, is because screw it. The names are cool, why not? But instead of just a Paint Bully, which makes a lot of sense with Yao Ming, considering that he is just, he's strong as fuck, he's tall, and, who's going to stop Yao Ming in the paint? Especially like these modern bigs, who's going to stop him? Because a lot of these modern bigs, some of them being very tall, like your Wembys, your Kristaps Porzingises, all that jazz. But Yao Ming is also tall himself, one of the taller big men of the league of all time. Considering the fact that I believe he was 7'5", if I'm not mistaken, 7'4", 7'5", so around there with Wemby. And also, it's like you just don't have too many traditional bigs anymore that have the strength to be able to stop somebody like Yao Ming. So the name definitely makes sense. But what if we were able to actually go in and be like, okay, well, Paint Bully, that's a cool name, but obviously it's not that unique or as unique enough for me to consider the name as the only reason why I would make this build. So I'm going to go in here and show you guys an edited version of this build that I would rather make, and just tell you guys the reason why I would make it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep the height and the wingspan here, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the weight by 2 points to get to 260 pounds. Now what that does is give us from a 95 max strength to a 96 max strength, which is only 1 point difference, but there's a reason for that, and I'll talk more about that here in a second. So when we actually talk about this build and we talk about the change that we're going to be making, there's really only one stat change that is really necessary here that I'm going to make. I say necessary. It might not be necessary for you guys, but obviously I feel like it's necessary because it does give us a little bit of a boost in other categories. So we're going to drop our close shot down by 2 points. Why? Because the 94 is what you need for Hook Specialist on Hall of Fame, and you really need a 96 for Paint Prodigy on Hall of Fame. But if you drop it down to a 94, you still have that minimum attribute that you need in order to get to a 99 with cap breakers. So even if you still wanted to go to a 99 on your close shot, you still can. It just requires 2 more. So instead of just using 3, you can use all 5 that is available for this single attribute. So with the 94, you can just use the 99 still, be able to get Paint Prodigy on Legend. If you wanted to use all 5 cap breakers, that is 100% available. And then you'll also be able to get to Legend Float Game as well. But at the same time, we just dropped to a 94 because of how much potential overall you see that we get from it. Just dropping it down by 2 points from a 96 to a 94 is very significant. Because once you get to the 90s, it's very, very, as you can say, as you can literally see, it's very, very important to make sure that you are trying to utilize as much of your caps as possible, because going to a 95 is where your attributes are going to start hitting hard on your potential. So being at a 94 is pretty good for most parts, considering that your offensive rebound is also 94, where you're able to get to a 99 using cap breakers, which is another one of your potentials. But with the close shot being down, what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to upgrade speed to a 60. That's maxed out. We already have agility maxed out, so there's no reason touching that. And 96 strength would be really, really good here, but we're just going to wait because you only need one cap breaker just to get to strength, so I don't really feel like there's a point in that. However, as you can see here, we have a couple of different upgrades that we can get for vertical. So we get 2 attributes here. Obviously, it's going to upgrade our driving dunk and our driving layup as we upgrade this. But we did get aerial wizard on gold. We do 2 more. We get high flying denier on silver. And then now, as you can see, the next upgrade is a 77, which is our max that we have available. And we're able to immediately reach that with only one little bit of attribute left for free throw. So by taking down our close shot to a 94, still leaving us the ability to get to a 99 on close shot if you so choose to do that, but we were able to reach the 77 requirement for gold pogo stick, in which you needed to have a minimum of a 72 vertical to be able to reach it with cap breakers. But obviously, as you have seen from the beginning of this, we were only at a 70. So which means that we have practically taken 7 cap breaker potentials off of vertical and speed in general. And then we just added on to here. So we technically took away 5 cap breakers in, just in general. Like we just took away 5 cap breaker opportunities just, to be able to upgrade. And now we have less to worry about. So that's 5 less cap breakers to worry about. And we still have our strength that we need 1 cap breaker for. And then the whole concept of having the cap breaker for strength is so you can have either 2 cap breakers on offensive rebound, which will give you your Hall of Fame rebound chaser. And then you can use 4 cap breakers in order to get box out beast on legend. So if you don't have any cap breakers, but you are starter 3, you haven't reached level 40 in a season, whatever the case may be, you only have 5 cap breakers, you can use the 1 cap breaker that you have for strength there, then that means you only have 4 left. Then you can use the last 4 on your rebound, which will give you a 98 offensive rebound, and that will give you your legend box out beast. And that means you would only need 1 other cap breaker left in order to get to a 99, which would in return give you legend rebound chaser, which obviously you can't see here right out of the gate, but obviously a 99 is what you need for legend on rebound chaser. But on top of that, there are some other avenues for cap breakers other than just using your 1 on strength and your 5 on offensive rebound if you wanted the 99, but also you do have the ability of utilizing a 93 interior defense if you use all 5 caps. Now, what does that give us? The 93 interior defense gives us our Hall of Fame post lockdown instead of gold. That will give us incredible increase in defense and being able to get more stops, because a lot of people have this misconception about how contests work this year, considering that a lot of the time that, yes, indeed, the contest system is still a little bit different, where you still have to get your contest, your hand has to be as close to the ball as possible to get the best possible contest. However, you're going to be more likely to get better contest with a higher defensive rating. So your interior defense, as it says here, ability to defend the paint both on and off the ball, as well as contest shots near the rim. So when you are in the paint, having a higher interior defense is going to mean that you're going to get more likely higher graded contests. Now, with perimeter defense, it says ability to defend the perimeter both on and off the ball, as well as contest shots from outside. So which means that you're going to be able to get better contest animations and be able to have your character react to shots and contest better and more efficiently the higher your perimeter defense. So that being said, having a higher interior defense, not only just for the sake of post-lockdown on Hall of Fame, so you're not getting bullied in the paint as much, but you're also getting better contest odds when you are going up against somebody on the drive. And then you also have Paint Patroller. Even though it's only on silver, you cannot get it on gold because you would need 9 cap breakers and you can only get a max of 5 per stat. So you're not able to get gold Paint Patroller, but you can always use the max badge, the max +1 tier badge perk, whatever you want to call it. You could use that on Paint Patroller to get gold Paint Patroller, be able to get your defense a little bit more. And what Paint Patroller does is says it protects the rim at a high level, but at the same time, that's kind of like your Intimidator badge for drives in the paint. So if somebody's trying to score in the paint and you have Paint Patroller and you get a good contest on them, they're going to be able to miss more. They're not able to hit as much, but they're going to be missing more. Obviously, they can still hit some good shots, especially if they are good at timing layups and dunks and whatnot. But it's going to be a lot harder to hit those shots with a higher Paint Patroller. Now, you do have the ability to have a higher pass accuracy. You're not really able to get much, obviously, but if you use 3 cap breakers, you can get Versatile Visionary. Allows for high risk creative passes and alley-oops to be made more successfully. So, obviously, those cross-court passes, Versatile Visionary is very, very important for those, as well as, bounce passes and alley-oops, obviously. All of those really great passes are just, the only way that you could really do them more consistently is having a high enough pass accuracy for Versatile Visionary. So, if you just want to be able to pass a little bit more and, especially like around players and get those wraparound passes a little bit more, when you are surrounded, Versatile Visionary will be a good go-to badge where you can use 3 cap breakers to just get the bronze badge, and that's all you really need to use. Because you're not able to really get anything else from it until you get to an 82 pass accuracy, which will give you gold diver. And then at an 85, you get bronze bailout, and then 87 would be gold break starter. Now, what's very intriguing is I talked about not really shooting the ball and not really needing a jump shot earlier. However, using 5 cap breakers on the mid-range shot will be suffice, because when you originally make this build, you have a 96 close shot as we talked about earlier. But the 96 close shot is the reason why we have a 56 mid-range. So if you just drop the close shot and not drop the mid-range because they are connected, if you just keep the mid-range at a 56, you're able to use 5 cap breakers, all 5 cap breakers available for a single stat, and you're able to utilize a 61 mid-range with all 5 cap breakers, which in return would give you post-fade phenom on bronze. And it says, improves a player's ability to make post-fades and hop shots. So, in a situation where you're just not able to get in the paint or get like a good look that you want, and you're just like kind of in the mid-range, you can still at least do like a post hop shot or a post fade and be able to at least have a higher chance of making that shot because A, you have a 61 rating instead of a 56. So you'll have like in the 60s, which gives you a higher shot percentage just in general. But you'll also have the badge for it. Even though it's only bronze, you'll at least still have the badge, which will increase your shot percentage even more as well. Not significantly, but at least a little bit and enough for you to be able to hit them more often than not. Post control, having a +5 on post control would suffice because having a +5 means that along the way you are getting post powerhouse on Hall of Fame, which is why you have the 95 strength. Other than brick wall, being the requirement on Hall of Fame for the 95 strength. You do have post powerhouse that you can get on Hall of Fame with the 95 strength, but you need 3 cap breakers in order to get to the 93 post control to get Hall of Fame post powerhouse. But then you have all 5 cap breakers, then you are able to get post up poet on Hall of Fame. And it says raises the chances of faking out or getting by the defender and making shots when performing moves in the post. So if you do like an up and under kind of situation, you'll be able to get more jumps and more stuns off of those fakes in the paint than you would normally without, like the post up poet badge at all. But obviously we have it on gold, but you get on Hall of Fame, you'll be able to get more post moves and be able to score more. Now, unfortunately, you're not able to get unpluckable on gold, unfortunately, because you would need 6 cap breakers. But obviously, if you messed around with the stats a little bit, say for an example, you just don't really care about steal, you can obviously drop the steal rating and then just try to increase your post control, maybe 1 or 2 points, and then be able to use some of those cap breaker opportunities to then get to gold unpluckable. And then obviously you would need a 97 post control with the 99 close shot in order to get hook specialist on legend. So you can still get the 99 close shot, but it's another one of those situations where you would need at least a 92 post control in order to use cap breakers and reach that 97 for that legend hook specialist. So kind of like that situation as we talked about before with the vertical, which is the reason why we upgraded it as much as we could. You do have the opportunity of a standing dunk as well. Having a +5 on your standing dunk will give you rise up on Hall of Fame, getting even more standing dunk animations, and just the ability to get more standing dunk opportunities just in general. Because it says, makes it easier to dunk when under the basket, which is phenomenal. So having a 95 standing dunk means that you'll get that to Hall of Fame since we have the vertical requirement. So having the 5 cap breakers for that might not be a bad idea, but you have so many other opportunities for cap breakers as we mentioned before, with the 1 on strength, then we have, the 5 available for offensive rebound, the 5 that you can use for interior defense to get post lock, the 3 for pass accuracy if you wanted versatile visionary, the 5 on mid range if you wanted post fade phenom, 5 for post control if you wanted both post powerhouse and post up poet, the 5 for standing dunk if you wanted rise up on Hall of Fame, and then you also have the 5 for close shot if you wanted the 99 not only for paint prodigy on Hall of Fame, but the opportunity at getting legend on float game and then legend on paint patroller, and then the opportunity to possibly, even if you mess around with some of the other stats, like I mentioned, probably drop in a steal to try and get post control to at least 92. So then you can get the opportunity at getting legend hook specialist if you are into doing those, which I personally am not, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you guys are, then more power to you. But this particular build here is kind of my version. The only really major thing that I felt was necessary for this build was just to drop the close shot, get us a little bit more in that vertical and speed, move the weight up to 260 so we have the opportunity at getting legend rebound chaser and legend box out beast, and then being able to then utilize still the 99 close shot if I so choose to, and if others also so choose to, while giving everybody else a template where they can still mess around with some of the other stats, or maybe drop the vertical by a couple points if they wanted to try and get that post control in a spot where they can get that legend hook specialist as well. But this is my version of the build, and obviously you're not going to get these shades of Yao Ming on this because we did increase the vertical and the speed and drop the close shot and all that. But obviously we are still called a paint beast, which is very, very similar, but we're not able to get all the animations right out the gate, as you can see here. But it's not like it matters because we can still get all of the post hook animations that are available. So if you still wanted to use Kareem, you can still get them because there is practically no requirements for all these post hooks. For post fades, obviously most of the time it is due to having, height requirements. So if you really, really wanted to, you can still use Dirk as your post fade if you really like Dirk's post fade animations, which he does have some really good animations, but I also do like Jokic. Jokic also has some good animations. I mean, the 1-footer is just really, really good. So if you wanted to use his, you could, but Dirk's also has some really good ones, and you could just use anybody else's as well. And then the post-hop shot, obviously you also have Dirk as well. So it's not like you're missing out on any animations. And then as you can see here, we have tons of animations that are still available, a lot of them that are not available because of height requirements. But if we go down here, and if you really, really wanted to make sure that you had Dwight Howard like animations and everything, obviously you can go ahead and check it out. But you get Wemby as like a motion style, so it's pretty good. As you can see, all these animations here, and you still get Dwight Howard, but you get like some really, really good animations. And also, one of the major animations that you can possibly get is Drew Eubanks. A lot of people talk about Drew Eubanks as one of the better motion styles to use for bigs. So if you guys want to use his, you still can. You need to have at least a 6'5" player, which is absolutely insane. But his is apparently one of the better ones for bigs, if I'm not mistaken. But that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And obviously, another thing I wanted to mention here is the fact that with this one, you also get Shaq dunks. You get Shaq dunks on the original version as well with the Pro Toon version. But with this one, you get both Shaq and Draymond dunk packages. So it just makes it a little bit easier because you have more dunk package options. But obviously, because Shaq will get more standing dunks and Draymond will get more driving dunks, then obviously the two combined, or then like the other one in Shaq, mainly because you needed a like 60 driving dunk in order to get Draymond. But we're able to get Draymond just because we increased our vertical and all that stuff, so that also increased our driving dunk. But it's not like it's 100% necessary because you're able to get pretty much both sets of contact big man dunks. So there you have it. But this is a longer video because I was actually talking more in depth about some of the things and giving you guys, you know, the rundown on a lot of this stuff. So let me know what you guys think of this type of video where I'm actually talking more in depth, you know, especially if you are a newer player to the game, trying to, you know, figure out some information on builds and the reason why some things are made certain ways. So let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this. And yeah, that's going to be it for me. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We are on the road to 1,000 subs, man. Like we're pretty much in the 600s. So if we get to like 1,000 subs here before 2K26 drops, you know, in September of this year, so I think that would be pretty awesome. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. That's it for me. I'll see you all in the next one.